MidDays with Gerard, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a Delta wonderland. Gone away is a bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a Delta wonderland. Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. It's MidDays. We're in Cleveland, Mississippi for 50 Nights of Lights, and you have been entertained by Tricia Walker, retired director of Delta Music Institute at Delta State University. Also, Cleveland's music ambassador and founder of Deep Roots Music. I love it. Tricia, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back.
That's a great little tune. So we got a little friend here, Dr. Dan Ennis, the president of Delta State University, came today equipped with this miniature fighting okra.
He's just as mean as the big one. He is. Watch out.
We don't want any angry vegetables, is what the Dr. Ennis said.
The world's most violent vegetable. Yeah, that's what he is.
So he's got a perch here on your guitar, on the neck there.
How about that? Fit. It works well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so what's going on? I know you're retired, but still it's in your blood, right? You're not retired.
I'm retired from Delta State.
Yeah,
I'm very busy for the city of Cleveland and for Delta State. So we've got a program we call Deep Roots, and we wanted to try to cultivate the live music scene here in Cleveland. And we put it under a Roots umbrella because we have so many different types of music here, and with the Grammy Museum being here and celebrating all those different genres, Roots music, for folks who might not be familiar with that term, are really those subgenres of music that originated in America. Blues, obviously, country, jazz, gospel, rock and roll, all those fall under that Roots umbrella. So we call it Deep Roots because we have the deepest roots of all right here in the Mississippi Delta.
Well, just hearing you list out those the series of genres, we have, as you say, we have connections, significant connections to all of those, right?
King of the Blues, father of country music, the high priest of country music, Conway Twitty, Elvis, obviously. So, yeah, we got them all.
It's incredible.
It is. It is.
Well, so I asked this question of my friend and colleague Steve Azar all the time. To what do we attribute this? What's the deal about Mississippi, in particular the Mississippi Delta, that gave rise to all this world-class musical talent?
Well, it's hard to put a finger on one thing. I personally think a couple of things. We have the greatest oral storytelling tradition, even with Faulkner and Welty. But I think a place like the Delta in particular, and Mississippi in general, back in the days before technology connected us all, we were all pretty spread apart, particularly here in the Delta. And so it was a means to entertain ourselves, entertain our families. Music, of course, certainly is one of the best mediums for self-expression. So if you had a hard 12-hour day out in the fields and you wanted to come in, you wanted to express yourself in 3 chords and the truth. That's what we called it in Nashville, 3 chords and the truth. Same is true for the blues, 3 chords and the truth. And it was portable. Instruments were portable. If they didn't have it, of course, some of the old original blues guys would put a string of wire on the side of the house and play it. Anything to express yourself. So I think it's our oral tradition and just the fact that we had plenty of time and space to do that.
Yeah. Mr. Azar always points to just the storytelling ability of Mississippians and Mississippi Deltans in particular. He just said that just kind of naturally spills over into the creation of music.
Absolutely, it does. And it's passed down. I have a little company called Big Front Porch. I grew up in a house that had a big front porch, and I think as Southerners, the porch was a very key place for that development of oral storytelling, when you'd be sitting at your grandmother's knee snapping green beans and, hearing her tell the stories. And then, you just pick them up and you pass them on down and you make your own.
Yeah, it truly is incredible. So what are you doing specifically just to promote all this? I know you're heavily involved in that. You're really a great ambassador for the state, and and its rich musical history. Well, how do you go about promoting that and telling that story and just exposing our state and its the many artists that hail from it?
Well, you rely on all those great local musicians. I lived for a long time in Nashville, and Nashville has a great support system for their own musicians. And there are plenty of incredible musicians here in Mississippi and right here in the Delta who they're not going to go make music their full-time profession. They're not going to move away. But they still bring so much value to a community. So what I did, I sort of curated a list of musicians here in the region that I know or worked with, and from those various genres, some blues players, some gospel singers, some country singers. And then the city of Cleveland has been incredibly supportive of this effort because they know, live music and a live music scene really increases the opportunity for tourism to come here. So we've got 4 or 5 what we call venue partners, restaurants here in town, and we partner with them and we book a musician in these different restaurants 5 nights a week so that we can market that we are a live music town and we're a roots music town. And then in the summer, we either at the Arts Alliance that Dawn was talking about or out here on the green space, we have a series called Live at 5 downtown, and we do a Friday late afternoon thing with like a larger bands and have a little party on Friday afternoon. And
and what about integrating into the 50 Nights of Lights? You do anything for that?
We do Christmas music, and I'm expecting our Deep Roots musicians to throw some Christmas tunes into their repertoire for the next month, and they'll do that, and they will do that.
Yeah.
And of course, they also entertain several of our Deep Roots entertainers. Engage with the Grammy Museum when the steamboat passengers come to town. They come to the Grammy Museum, and some of our Deep Roots performers perform for them at the museum before they come downtown and see what we've got to offer.
So what's it like? You've been obviously involved in music as a career and as in your professional life. Mm-hmm. To have this Grammy Museum, I mean, right here in the neighborhood.
Oh, game changer. World game changer.
Yeah.
People still scratch their head and say, how in the world? And I'm happy to tell them. It was a confluence of many things and some wonderful people who made it happen. But it makes sense for it to be here in the birthplace of America's music.
Yeah.
It's just a no-brainer. And so people come and they are made aware of all the contributions that Mississippi musicians have made, including our buddy Steve Azar, who is crazy, by the way. I love you, Steve. I love you. Just shout out to Steve. You're crazy, but I love you. And people come and find out. And then even our own people, they say, other people know more about our history than we do. So for the locals to have a chance to go and explore and take their kids over to the Grammy Museum and see just what these Mississippi musicians have contributed to the world is just outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, and it not only is it truly world class, but it attracts people from all over the world.
Oh, yeah. Music fans they are fanatics. They are fanatics, and they will travel. You can go by, and I was going in one day and saw a car pull up, and they were from Germany. They were doing a music tour in America. And so we were on their list. They came on in.
What is it about the Europeans who seem to have a fascination with that and make the time and make the investment to travel to Mississippi to visit that museum?
Man, if I knew that, I would bottle it up and sell it. I don't know. I think just that, American music and American culture is one of our greatest exports.
Sure.
I don't know if it's because we're a democracy and we have the opportunity to express ourselves freely. I think that has come out in the music, and maybe that's attractive to some other parts of the world that may not have that kind of freedom.
I've often wondered, is there some factor in that much of our country was settled and founded by Europeans?
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's, we go back to the roots music definition. Country and bluegrass really came out of those Irish and Scottish ballads that came down through the Appalachians. Then you've got blues players, who came up out of here. And it's when those forces collided that you began to have new American music like rock and roll, some gospel that became, up-tempo gospel and derivative of the European, what the Europeans brought over, but then putting an American style on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, you're in the heart of it, right here in Cleveland.
You're in the heart of it. We are the melting pot. It's fascinating. The Delta is, it is the most southern place on earth, as they say.
Yeah.
And so many different influences here, beyond just white Americans and African Americans, but the Italians, the Lebanese, the Chinese, the Hispanic community, all of it. I mean, we truly are the melting pot. And all of that, when all that comes up in a musical gumbo, there's nothing I like better.
It's the melting pot of the melting pots,
It's the
as
melting
I
pot of the
describe
melting.
it.
That's a good way to do it. That should be a T-shirt. We're the melting pot of the melting pot. I like that.
For me, it's somewhat fascinating because I remember traveling to the area with my father, who was an outside traveling salesperson. He had merchants right here there were customers right here on Main Street, but his friends, that were, just as you said, from across all of those nationalities and ethnicities that lived here.
Yeah.
And you really didn't see that in other parts of the state the way you do that, quite to the degree you do
You really
here.
don't. It's very unique for this part of the state.
Yeah, it's incredible. All right, give us some music.
Oh, a little bit more?
Yeah.
Let's see. How about go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. You can sing with me if you want to. Yeah. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born.
Fantastic.
That Jesus Christ is born. That Jesus Christ is born.